Okay, now we're getting at the heart of the topic. And I'm going to give you some personal testimonies that may help you understand this. The beginning of supernatural activity is not dreams, visions, seeing in the spirit. It's a very barely perceptible initial work. Um, one of the first things is intuition, which is to know something you have no reason to know. Inclination is being inclined towards, like, I don't know why, but I think I should contact Joe, check on Joe. I don't know why, I think I should go for a run. That's inclination. Perception is to use your senses and to perceive the supernatural. I used to have a boyfriend, and every once in a while you have experiences where you had no clue, and this is one of them. One day, he was a movie buff. He loved to watch movies. And one day we're watching a movie, and he stops and turns at me and says, "I will never watch a movie with you again." Why? Because you always know the end of the movie, and you always say what the end was. I didn't realize I was doing it. I didn't realize I was forecasting the end of the movies, but it was perception. The lighting would change, the music, the tone would change, and I would just, for some reason, through my senses, pick up that, I don't know, somebody was going to be murdered, or a couple had broken up would fall back in love, those kinds of things. Now, a few years ago, people were really working on trying to teach other people how to see in the spirit and enter into the things of the supernatural, how to ascend. And they would start with things like, imagine a curtain in front of you and pull the curtain to the side. That's actually 4 or 5 steps down the road to teach somebody to see in the spirit. The first thing is get them aware of their intuitions, their inclinations, their perceptions, and act on them. And that is my testimony. I was, and if you're part of the ecclesia, you've heard this stuff 100 times before. But for somebody new, I'm a Hannah child. My mother was 43 years old, only had one child, and prayed and prayed and prayed to the Lord for another child, and made a commitment to raise me in the ways of the Lord. Well, along with that came, I guess I was just wired for this kind of stuff. And before the age of 10, I would know things. And, Mama, that lady's having a baby girl. I knew stuff I shouldn't know. I had relatives pass away a few times. And, I can remember being 12 years old and telling Mom that Grandma was dead, and the phone rings and Grandma's passed away. And it got to the point my mom would say to me, "Stop that." I just knew stuff. And it freaked her out. Well, inclination is to be inclined towards. I do not personally know Chris Blackaby, but if you hear his healing testimony in there, he says after he was healed, he had a sense that he should go get on a treadmill. And I don't know, a couple days later, he had a sense that he should go for a run. That's inclination. Gosh, I don't know why I should contact Joe. I don't know. Well, I don't know why, but I should. That's being inclined to do something. Perception is using your senses. And your spirit, your human spirit smells, hears, sees. I mean, I heard somebody say once that the line "seeing in the spirit" to the Hebrews meant to use all of your spiritual senses. So I don't know if that's true or not. Somebody said it. I had a boyfriend before I was married, who, the guy loved movies, and we watched a lot of movies together, and one day he leans over to me and says, "I will never watch a movie with you again." I'm like, "Huh? Why?" He says, "You always know the ending to the movie. You ruin the movies for me." It was perception. The lighting would change, or the music would change, or somebody have a funny look on their face, and I knew what was coming. I knew somebody was going to be murdered, or a couple was going to reunite and fall back in love, and but I didn't realize how much I was doing it to the point of ruining movies for him. I encourage you to start right here. I encourage you to take inventory. Has there ever been a time I just knew something and it turned out to be a God thing? Has there ever been a time I really felt like I should go do something and it turned out to be a God thing? In my old church, there was a guy named Carl. I'll leave his last name alone because I didn't get permission from him to talk about him, but he was a master at inclination. He was also an absolutely, great soul winner. He would lead people to Christ left and right. But his inclinations were huge. I got to go to Indonesia. No, I'm not exaggerating. This is a true story. I got to go to Indonesia, and on this island, there's a tribal king, and his name is blah, 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 and I got to talk to him. Soon after that, a friend of mine was going on a mission trip to Indonesia, and Carl said, "Can I tag along with you?" And the guy said, "Yeah." And sure enough, he found that tribal king, led him to the Lord. The king had the whole tribe become saved. That's the way Carl lived. He just had an inclination to do. And his wife, God bless her, was totally, well, that's the way Carl is. And he'd be off and gone. She was a school teacher, and well, Carl's got to go to Russia or something, and off he'd go. And she just lived with the fact that they had an unusual life. I think she kind of liked it. Okay, now there's theories. I've said it in other teachings. The heart has 40,000 brain cells or neurons in it. The heart, many people believe, is a greater thinking organism than the brain. It's believed that your spirit knows all sorts of things and gets amnesia when you were born. I believe your spirit wraps around your body as well as being in your body. And therefore, the memories from your spirit are deeply embedded within you. And as you mature, those memories come forward. And here I go with one of my stories. Oh, I don't know. When I was in my 20s, I actually was in a counseling session, and all of a sudden I was thrown in this vision. And I was on Father God's lap. I was a little person, and he was saying to me, "I have found a family for you, and we're going to send you to this family." And later I thought, much later, I thought, that's a memory. That's not an imagination. That's a memory. I was really, really there. You will have those experiences if you don't disqualify them. The line about Mary pondered these things in her heart. I really encourage you to ponder these things in your heart.